I'm 81 years old, and I've been thinking a lot lately about how I spent my time. Not the big moments, not the achievements, but the people I spent it on. And I can feel it now, more sharply than ever. The years I gave to people who didn't care if I was there or not. It's not a lesson I wanted, it's a weight I carry. When I was younger, I thought time was endless. I believed there would always be tomorrow, next week, next year. And I filled those days with people who asked for favors, attention, or company, but never returned it in any way that mattered. I didn't see it then, or maybe I refused to. I was too busy being busy, too busy trying to belong, to prove myself, to keep my life orderly in ways that seemed important at the time. I remember being in my 20s, fresh out of school, working in an office that smelled faintly of ink and dust, the kind of place where faces smiled politely but never remembered what you said. I was eager to be liked, eager to fit in, eager to matter. I would stay late helping colleagues with tasks they could have done themselves. I would volunteer for shifts that weren't mine. I would listen to long stories about their personal troubles, offering advice and sympathy, even when I was exhausted. Even when my own life needed attention. And I thought that was friendship. I thought that was care. At the same time, I had my own small joys. Saturday mornings, walking down the quiet streets with a loaf of bread in my hands. Evenings, reading in my tiny apartment, the faint smell of coffee and rain. But those moments were often interrupted by the demands of others. I didn't notice how much I was sacrificing because I was so focused on being present for people who never asked if I was okay. I thought loyalty meant giving endlessly. I didn't know it also meant being seen. By the time I reached 30, I had been married a few years, and even then I surrounded myself with people who drained more than they gave. I would spend evenings listening to friends complain, giving advice they never followed, driving across town to help with trivial tasks, missing dinners, missing quiet nights with my spouse, and telling myself it was worth it. I thought it was love. I thought it was friendship. I thought it was how life worked. Looking back, it was habit, a habit of giving to those who would never return anything meaningful. In my 30s and 40s, the pattern continued. I worked harder, took promotions I didn't even want, and spent hours trying to maintain friendships that were one-sided. I remember attending birthday parties I didn't care about, helping friends move apartments late into the night while my own family waited for me at home, lending money I would never see again. I convinced myself that my effort counted, that showing up mattered more than being valued in return. But the quiet truth, which I didn't see then, was that time spent like that is time lost forever. The damage wasn't sudden. There wasn't a moment where the world tilted and I saw the mistake in full. It accumulated quietly, like dust on a shelf. Invitations stopped coming without me noticing. Calls I returned were unanswered. People forgot my birthday, forgot small details I had shared in confidence. Each instance felt minor, harmless even. But I didn't notice that the sum of these small things was carving a hollow in my life, that the energy I gave to those who didn't care was energy I could never reclaim. I can picture dozens of small moments now. The time I skipped my mother's anniversary dinner because a coworker needed help with a project. The evening I ignored my daughter's call to soothe a friend's worries. The weekend I spent helping a neighbor paint a wall when I could have taken a long walk alone and breathed in a little peace. Each choice felt normal, reasonable. Each choice felt like it mattered. But add them together over decades, and they add up to a life quietly eroded. I didn't notice until I was older, until I was in my late 70s, after my wife died. She had been the one person who truly noticed me, the one who remembered small things, who cared. And when she was gone, I was left staring at the empty chair across from mine, realizing that all the other faces, the friends I had tried so hard for, were either gone, distant, or indifferent. And I understood, with sudden, bitter clarity, how much time I had given away to people who never saw me, never valued me. I tried, for a while, to reach out, to reconnect, to reclaim lost connections. But it's different when the years have passed. People have moved on. Priorities have shifted. Some doors never open again. And I was left with the knowledge that the years I spent hoping for reciprocity were years I would never see again. I remember sitting on the porch one afternoon, late in life, watching the leaves fall and thinking about old friends. Names I hadn't spoken in decades came to mind. I realized I hadn't been absent because I was busy with better things. I'd been absent because I chose the wrong people to spend my time with. And the truth of it was devastating. Not in a burst of emotion, but in a quiet, relentless ache. There are small, vivid memories that haunt me. A friend calling me at midnight for advice while my spouse lay sick in bed. Helping someone move on a weekend when my own child had a recital I missed. Lending money to someone who never repaid, while my brother asked for a few dollars and I said no. At the time, none of it seemed like a mistake. I thought I was generous, thoughtful, loyal. But looking back, I see now that I was giving to people who didn't deserve it. And that is a regret that doesn't fade. I've spent countless evenings replaying conversations in my mind. I see the people who mattered most, the ones who actually valued my presence, my laughter, my advice, and I think about the moments I could have spent with them instead. Even the smallest gestures would have meant more than all the years I spent chasing approval from those who never gave it back. I notice it in quiet ways now. The empty mailbox, the unanswered calls, the birthdays that come and go without a thought. Even when I do see old friends, the energy is different. They're strangers in familiar faces. I smile, they smile, but there is no connection there anymore. The years of effort I gave them meant nothing in the end, and I can't go back. I can't reclaim that time. I think a lot about the illusion of more time. That feeling that there'll always be a next week, another month, another year to fix things. I assumed it, and the assumption cost me decades of life that could have been spent with people who truly mattered. It's strange how quiet the realization is when it finally comes. Not a shout or a storm, just a stillness that fills a room and doesn't leave. Even now, there are moments of happiness. I see my grandchildren, I watch them grow, I feel their laughter and curiosity. I talk with a few old friends who still remember me, who still care. Those moments are precious, but they are few, and the scarcity makes me mourn what is gone. The weight of wasted time sits beside every laugh, every tender exchange, every small joy. I think a lot about the choices I didn't make, the boundaries I never set, the times I stayed late helping someone who would never notice while missing moments that mattered. And I realize how human that is, how easy it is to assume that everyone cares as much as we do, how easy it is to keep giving without seeing the imbalance. But it hurts, in the end, more than I imagined when I was young. I suppose if there's a lesson in all of this, it is simple. Notice. Notice who values you. Notice where your energy is going. Pay attention to the small signs, the little ways people show they care, or don't. Because the cost of ignoring it is high, and it is one that accumulates quietly until you are left with the stark truth. Sometimes I ask myself why I didn't see it sooner, why I didn't realize that loyalty without reciprocity is a slow, quiet drain. And I don't have an answer. Perhaps it is human nature. Perhaps it is the way the world teaches us to give, to be kind, to be present without expecting the same in return. But the years go by. And eventually, the cost is undeniable. Eventually, you notice that the energy you poured into others has left your own life hollow. I don't tell you this to preach or to judge or to suggest that I am wiser than anyone. I tell you because it is my truth, because I am running out of time, and because perhaps if someone hears it, they will notice something sooner than I did. There is clarity in the edge of life, a kind of brutal honesty that comes when there are fewer days left than behind. And it feels urgent to speak it. I look back on my life and see the people I wasted time on, and I try to make peace with it. I tell myself that I gave my best as I knew it, that I was well-intentioned, that I acted out of care, habit, love, But I also see the lost moments, the friendships that never returned my effort, the small joys that slipped away, and I carry that awareness quietly every day. I have a few friends left, people who remember me, who value my presence, and for those moments I am grateful. But gratitude is mixed with sorrow, because I see the scale of what is gone, what cannot be fixed, what I cannot recover, and that is the weight of 81 years. Not just the joy, but the cost of choices made in the wrong places with the wrong people. I sit now in the late afternoon, sunlight coming through the window in golden patches, and I let myself remember the laughter, the small victories, the quiet failures, the losses that shaped me. I am still here, still breathing, still able to speak these truths, and perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the act of noticing, of speaking, of sharing my regrets is a small redemption in itself. I don't know how many more years I have. Perhaps a few, perhaps fewer. And that is why I speak now, in this quiet way, without exaggeration, without drama. I speak because it is true, because the years I spent on people who didn't care shaped me, because the years I could have spent differently are gone forever, and because someone, maybe, can hear it and see it for themselves. If this means something to you, even a little, notice the people who value you. Notice where your time goes. It may seem small, insignificant, the choices you make every day, but the cost accumulates quietly, and one day you may find yourself sitting alone, noticing the absence of those who never returned your effort, just as I am now. I sip my tea slowly. The house is still. I think of my wife, of my family, of the few friends who remain. I look out the window at the fading light, and I accept, slowly, that the past is unchangeable. I accept the quiet, the loss, the years that were given away, and I choose in what time I have left to spend it with those who matter, to be present where it counts, and to let the rest go. And that is all anyone can do in the end. Notice, choose, be present. Quietly.